I'll show you how it's done. Shazam!
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome back to another video here at Underdeveloped. Time Nick, and we are covering Creed 3. Yeah, so this is Creed 3, directed by Michael B. Jordan. Round of applause, everyone. Michael B. Jordan is definitely an inspiration for this generation, for black men. You know what I mean? Fuck them haters that was talking, you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys ever heard about, you know, that whole beef thing. Well, not beef thing, but like he kind of confronted his bully. I mean, I saw the video. It wasn't really that big of a deal. He said like one thing, and it was kind of like tongue in cheek, like, "Yeah, look at me now." You know what I mean? Like, hey, which she probably would. I mean, she was 12, so she get over it. But I mean, you gave a little shit. Who cares? You know what I mean? She had it coming, yeah. Because she was talking shit not too long ago neither. She was kind of talking shit like on a podcast like a couple years back, and I'm like, you know, and to me, it's like, you know what I mean, like. You know what I mean? You got what y'all coming to you because he was, you know what I mean? He was ranking on him for do something positive, you know what I mean? And look at him now. So, you know, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, said just apologize. You kind of, you know what I mean? Please, you know what I'm saying? Take ownership, you know what I mean? Like, take ownership of what you said, you know what I mean? And apologize because you did say you think, obviously hurt him because he still remembers that shit to this day. And it goes to tell you about, like, pretty much, like, just, like, the black culture, essentially, like, you know, because you're not, like, gangbanging or rapping or playing basketball, some shit. You a cornball. It's like, fuck are you even talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, you know what I mean? But that's how it was, you know what I mean? Like, it's a sign of toughness, you know, we pride ourselves on being gangster, you know what I mean? Instead of, like, being, like, a tech genius or something, you know what I mean? Like, entrepreneur, you know, we're now starting to develop past that, but it's like, that's kind of how it was back in the days. So, you know what I mean? Sorry you have to deal with that shit, but, hey, it worked out for him now. Look at him now. So they all, you know what I mean? Oh, they all resting easy at night. They all licking their wounds. You know what I mean? He showed them. Yeah. But anyways.
He really did.
Let's get into this movie. Yeah, so this movie basically, you know what I mean? Like, this is third installment in the Creed franchise. Starring Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors, who's like really been, you know, prominent this last year. He had a very good year. He started off on the show called Lovecraft Country. I never watched it, but I heard it was pretty good. I remember like the promo stuff coming out for it.
Yeah.
And now he's a big star now.
Yeah.
He's literally the final boss villain of this phase of Marvel. That's still a huge deal. And he's black. That's like almost unheard of. You know what I mean? With this big old role, come on. You know what I mean? And he gets the opportunity to play multiple characters because he's playing like copies of himself essentially. This movie is easy to worst the franchise.
At least with the Creeds.
I mean, yes.
If you're talking about Rocky as a whole, I wouldn't say that.
Well, this is his own franchise. It's a spin-off of the Rocky franchise. It's not the Rocky franchise. It's a whole different thing. So yeah, it's the worst of the franchise. I'm gonna be fair, you know what I mean? This isn't a bad directorial debut. This was a decent movie, and the fact that in directing and acting, I imagine, is very hard. So I'm gonna give him some leeway. But fair enough, other actors have done great movies when they first try. So the biggest sign of a director is the acting, how the performances come off. And between Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, I thought the actor wasn't even that. I mean, it wasn't. It was okay. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't great. It wasn't great, essentially. You know what I mean? But it wasn't bad. It wasn't great neither. At least Meg may have a whole different opinion than me, but like, I thought it was fine. I thought acting was okay. You know what I mean?
I thought the acting was actually better in the first two.
Of course, that's the whole point I'm saying. You know, certain lines, certain dialogue just didn't come off right. You know what I mean? I know as hard as director, it's hard to like kind of like direct actors to like them to get that. You know what I mean?
Especially when
to get to that point.
Especially when you're your own actor and you have to direct yourself. I'm like, I imagine that's not easy.
Yeah, but even so, there's like directing other people too. Like it's hard to kind of like get certain performances, certain lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And certain takes, somebody does this thing better, but they don't do the other thing as good. So you got to kind of pick and choose what fucking take you add in. Overall, this was rushed. So we felt it was like an hour long, even though it was like close to 2 hours. That's terrible pacing. It's supposed to feel like it's 3 hours long, and it's a 2 hour movie. It's supposed to feel like a significant amount of time passed, like you really went through an experience. And I felt it is too much of experience. Too many things was rushed too. It felt like BVS in terms of the fact that if you ever saw the theatrical cut of BVS, it felt gutted a lot. That was one of the easy noticeable problems of that movie. It just felt like it just skipped through a lot of scenes. It kind of had the Dark Knight Rises syndrome, like gallons of time passes, you don't even realize it. Like they're bad at timing, like how many months have passed, whatever else. But it's like pretty much Dark Knight Rises. So it had a lot of those pacing issues that Dark Knight Rises had, I'll say. And also just the amount of times the movie, like, wait, this happened already? This happened? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it felt like they kind of said, yo, it's kind of like he wanted a chip, and then he's talking on the fucking... He's talking on ESPN, first take with Stephen A. Smith, and then he has a training montage, and then
we're at the climax already.
Fighting, and then the fight lasts like 3 minutes. Easy the worst fight. Easy the worst boxing sequence. Like the signature of these Creed movies and Rocky movies are the final fight, all the final box scenes, the final boxing scenes, the final matches. And it's easy the worst I've ever seen of pretty much all of them. I haven't seen the Rocky 5. So it has some good visual moments. Like like there's a whole thing where they kind of like the imagery was very on point. Like with like the dark cloud over the arena, no one's there, just them two, prison bars. Like if you're gonna go in it, they should have really played into the whole like, yo, brothers going up and now, you know what I mean, things have changed. You know what I'm saying?
Like, they really should have done a whole lot more of that. There's a lot that really just
like maybe it could have been a third fight. Maybe John may just beat his ass in the first one and he comes back strong. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe, you know what I mean? Or maybe like, you know what I mean? They freshen the fight sequence more and maybe give time for homie to kind of establish his dominance in the league. You know what I mean?
Or at least just have a longer fight.
Yeah, and the fact that
Jonathan Majors short.
It's exactly. And Jonathan Majors like, dude, like, I mean, really, you think like we think he was fighting a scrub? Like, you really think he was fighting like we doing like, oh, this thing ain't nothing.
No,
I know you've been in prison for 10 years, but I mean, are you that out of a loop? He's one of the greats, dude. 26-1, man. Like, honestly, he's been fighting professionals while you've been in prison for 20 years. Dude.
Like,
you think he's not gonna fight you? You think he can't beat you? You think he can't at least pose a threat? Like, you surprised he learned a lot of moves? Of course he did. He's a professional boxer. He's had the best training. You know what I mean? Like the best coaches. Rocky Balboa was coaching this nigga for fuck's sake. One of the greatest of all time in that world. You know what I mean? Like, the fuck.
Yeah. Like. Honestly, I get where they're going for with Jonathan Majors' character, but I don't really feel like it's explored enough. Because, like, I mean, I get it, because, like, he views him as that little kid. Like, that's why they had, in the sequence, like, they saw each other as their younger selves, because they still view each other that way.
He's lost in the past.
Yeah, like, he views himself as just this little kid, like, oh, he's got everything lucky in life, he got everything handed to him, he had a bullshit shot just like him, I should deserve that shot. If he can do it, then I can do it. Like,
for sure, but to underestimate him... To think, like, logically, this nigga's been training professionals for, like, the last 10 plus years. 26-1 record, facing heavyweights. Nigga, he's beating heavyweights. Nigga, he's beating real greats, dude.
It is kind of cartoonish just how much of an ego he has.
Naive? Like, are you that naive? Like, you think you just walk up and it's like, knock this nigga out because I think I'm better than him? Nigga, you been in pen for that 20 years. This nigga's been training with the greats, bro. This nigga is one of the greats now. You gotta train. You gotta take this fight seriously, man. Like, come on. Like,
yeah. And he just really didn't. And you even see in his eyes, like, he's just not taking anything seriously.
Yeah, like
I get it.
You really thought you had an easy run.
Yeah, I get that that's part of the character, but I just don't think it just makes sense.
No, it's in the moment where he was like, oh, this nigga's actually good. This nigga actually could beat me. Like, and then it should have been a real deadly, brutal, them bloody up in the ring, beating each other to a pulp. That would have been the fight.
That should have been in the fight.
Beating each other now, but he just tries to him easily. Easiest knockout of his career. The fuck? Like the last fight with him and fucking Jocko's son, that was a fight. Them niggas was going at it, bro.
That was a fight. Like,
he almost lost.
Both of them. You can see the desperation in both their faces in that one, and that's what makes that fight great.
And this should be the most desperate fight of it all. Like, it should have been a claw to win, bro. He should have fought. That fight should have been brutal. That fight should have been the most brutalist of the franchise.
I get where they're going for, but like, oh, well, he views Creed as a guy who just had shit handed to him. Like, he was in the right place, the right time, and got incredibly lucky. But even with that mindset, he's probably had to fight for everything his whole life, just like Creed did. So I don't really feel like he should have this different of mentality. He should still have the mentality like, oh, I have to fight, because like he's been in jail for 20 years. He probably had some prison fights. If anything, I assumed that was going to be part of his backstory. That maybe like fought a bunch of dudes in prison, and that's why he was going to be this crazy good boxer. But no, they didn't explore that at all. It went different direction.
I mean, they kind of have someone who's fighting dirty.
Yeah, they just had him as like a cheater. He came across more like a wrestling heel than like a boxer.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell that man just can't really box like that. You know, it just stands the way he throw punches. Like Levi Mikey Joe looks like he has some training. I mean, not the reason he looked that. I gotta be honest. You know what I mean? Like, he looked like he had that much. You know what I mean? Like, he looks kind of amateur. I can't front. He's like a big brute that just throwing haymakers. You know what I mean? Like he leaves his shit open a lot. I used to box. So I know, like, he used to leave it. He left this shit open quite a lot. Unless you Muhammad Ali, that guy has like the weave speed of like a fucking rabbit. Like you can't jump your fucking hands like it.
With all fairness, I do think that's intentional. because it does make sense with his
But
character.
usually a nigga that could fight like that wouldn't be fighting professionals.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, so, like...
No.
Like, but you're right, though. It should have been more of, like... He should have been really good. Like, because they've been trying to tell almost the Andre Bishop story about how he lost a lot of time because he was in prison from Fight Night Champion. Like, so, like... He got good in prison. He fought... He got old training in prison. He got his own... What's been interesting, like, we just saw him, like, in prison and, like, how he grew up in prison, like, how he, like, learned how to fight. And now he's at a time where he's the best he's ever been because he's, like, been really fighting prison. Like, he's fighting deadly, fighting against the deadliest, sharpening his skills and still sharp. You know what I mean? Like, and it should be more, like, amazed by him. Like, yo, this nigga's nice. Yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I would have, you know what I mean? That would have played in. Not because believe this thing could really make it. You know what I mean? Because a first time boxer who hasn't fought in any kind of who was an amateur fighter like 18 years ago just to get this shot at the title is crazy. It's insane. Yeah. And I know the Rocky kind of does all that shit, but I mean, come on, bro. That's easily the most unrealistic by far.
Yeah, like the thing is, it was unrealistic enough that Rocky got his shot in the first Rocky movie, but at least they had the decency to let him lose. Because I did watch Creed 2 very recently, so I noticed that a lot of things in this movie are a lot less grounded and realistic than they were in Creed 1 2.
Yes.
Like, it's not Rocky 4 levels of off the walls crazy.
No, Rocky 5, you mean? That's the one with Morrison.
No, I mean Rocky 4, that's one with Drago.
Yeah.
That one is insane. That movie is cheesy and insane. Do you not remember Paulie's robot?
No.
Paulie has a robot in that movie.
I just remember Creed dying.
Yeah, Creed dies in the ring. Drago is like the superhuman experiment that has like drugs pumped into him to make him like basically Bane. Like, it is an insane goddamn movie.
I don't remember that. I just remember Drago knocking his ass out till Creed fucking pretty much died in the ring.
No, like, there's a lot of goofy ass shit in Rocky 4.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay.
That's why I'm comparing it to that one.
Okay, then never mind then.
This isn't that extreme, but it's
not that
less
extreme,
realistic
but it's
than Creed 1
yeah,
2.
It is. As I say, it's very far-fetched.
I'd say it's entertaining still. Like, I enjoyed my time with it, but not nearly as much as 1 or 2.
It's not an incompetent movie, for sure.
No.
It is enjoyable. Like, I enjoy bits and pieces of this movie. I just, a lot of issues with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of things could have been done better. And it should have been more meat on the bone.
Oh, yeah. Should have been a lot more.
Because this is a franchise where you respect that in the movie, and it's not. So, therefore, his predecessors is easily the worst. They hate that they market it as the best Creed movie because it's by far the worst one. So,
yeah.
By far.
Like, this is a pretty noble dip. Yeah. Like, I would give the first two pretty high scores. To be honest.
Yeah, like I'll give easy the first two like in the high 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
that would be Creed 1. You know what I mean?
Creed 1 probably early 90s. Creed 2 probably late 80s.
Yeah, same. This one's for me. Creed 3 gonna have to get probably like 66.
I'm not.
That's what I'm feeling.
I'm leaning more towards 73 because I did overall still enjoy my time with it, though. I mean, again, there is pretty significant issues. I can't give it 75.
If I really thought this movie was real shit, I would have probably given it below a 50. So 66 still shows I have respect this movie, but it's a huge letdown.
Why I'm not as harsh about it is mostly because I do feel like this is very refreshing in a sense because Creed 1 and 2, while they're both great movies, I do feel like they are over-reliant on Rocky, especially Creed 2.
Sure. But I felt Rocky's presence should have been in this movie. I felt there was room for him, and he could add a lot of value to this movie.
Maybe. Like, there's like 1 or 2 scenes where I definitely could have seen him adding value, though overall, I really do appreciate that they're like Creed is finally he's finally not in his father's shadow anymore.
Think you need to get
he
rid
has
of...
like stories but he actually has stories and antagonists that aren't related to that.
I don't think keeping Rocky in your movie is gonna just make it a Rocky movie or keep him in Creed or Rocky shadow. So not to not have him in it just for that reason. I don't think.
I wasn't saying he was in Rocky shadow. I'm saying he was in his father's shadow.
Fair enough. I mean, no, but keep Rocky in the movie. I felt would have done any would have helped with the movie and not like you would keep Rocky in and not make it about the whole legacy thing. And yeah, of course. I mean, as far as the greatest of all time, you know what I mean? That's real life. You know what I mean? Like you're always going to be compared. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So in real life, that would be a thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
but I'm saying like but like the last 2 stories we've had with Adonis Creed, he was always compared to Apollo.
No, what I'm saying in real life, if your father's one of the greatest to do something in that same trade,
aware.
That's how it would be.
But
you know what I mean?
but even by Creed 2, it was getting kind of old. We needed something different. We needed something outside of that. And Creed 3 delivered.
No, but what I'm saying is that it makes sense why he will constantly be compared.
I understand that it makes sense, but it's also annoying.
You can say it's annoying,
limiting. It limits story opportunity.
It's real life.
But it's limiting because
it's real life. I'm not gonna take it.
It's like it's real life to like base this that all the boxer guys all happen to have sons who are also really good boxers.
First off, you're limiting. That's why I didn't mention even the boxing. I said if your father is the great at something and you're in that same field, you're going to be constantly compared.
Yes, you are. But that doesn't mean that you always have to fight the guys he fought or the descendants of the guys he fought.
No, he only fought one person. That was only one movie that happened. What are you talking about?
If you think it's only one movie, then you did not understand the first movie that well.
The first movie, he fought the heavyweight champion. He didn't fight any descendant of his.
You don't. If you think he. Like, that's who he physically fought, but that's not what the emotion was going on in that movie. That's not what that fight was really about. Yes, of course,
because he's Creed's son and he's an amateur and he's fighting a champion.
No, Okay, that movie, what are you talking about? The first Creed is, he might be physically in the ring with the champion, but he's not fighting the champion. He's fighting his father. He's absolutely fighting the father that he's struggling to connect to, that he really can't because he never met him, because he died before he was born. And it's this lost connection, and the whole point of the story is that he's trying to figure out who he is and what he wants to fight for. Because he's more than just his father's son, and he's trying to discover that throughout the movie. Yeah. And that's what the culmination of that is, by confronting his feelings about his father. Sure. That's very much what that movie was about, and that's what makes the first one great. Yeah, and then the second one was very much a rehab. It's like basically Rocky IV Part 2. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot better than I was expecting, but still. His father kind of it was a direction I was still not. I really didn't want future Creed movies to go in because I didn't want to have. I don't want to have Clubber Lang Jr. show up and have to fight him. I agree, but that's more Rocky. Right.
That's our reaction. That's our review to this movie. Tell us what you think about this movie. Do you like it? Do you think it's alright? Do you think it's the best? Do you think it's the worst? Let us know down below. Give us a like and subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all of our latest videos as we drop them. Later, guys.
Funny coming here right at you. Peace out, y'all.